I'll expand part 1 of your story in simple English with an engaging style, keeping it approximately 680 words without headings. I'll make sure the content is human-centric, natural in tone, and appropriate for YouTube policies. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Central Park as Maya huddled deeper into her worn jacket. 3 years on the streets had taught her to appreciate these small moments of warmth. Her weathered hands clutched a sketchbook, one of the few possessions she'd managed to keep during her hardships. Though her clothes were tattered, there was a dignity in her posture that spoke of a different past. People streamed by, most avoiding eye contact. Maya had grown used to being invisible. She sketched the landscape before her, finding peace in the way her pencil captured the dancing leaves and distant skyline. It was during these quiet moments that she could forget about her empty stomach and uncertain future. A child's delighted squeal broke through her concentration. Maya looked up to see a little girl, no more than 5 years old, chasing after a bright red balloon. The girl's mother was distracted, talking on her phone several yards away. Maya watched with growing alarm as the balloon drifted toward the busy street that bordered the park. "Hey, careful," Maya called out, but her voice was lost in the noise of the city. The little girl, focused only on her escaping treasure, darted past the park boundary. Maya's heart stopped as she spotted the black luxury car speeding around the corner. Without thinking, she dropped her sketchbook and lunged forward. Time seemed to slow down. Maya could see everything with startling clarity, the driver's shocked expression as he slammed on the brakes, the child's innocence as she reached for her balloon, unaware of the danger. With a final burst of speed, Maya reached the girl and pushed her roughly to safety. The impact came a second later. Maya felt herself flying through the air before landing hard on the pavement. Pain exploded through her body, and darkness crept around the edges of her vision. Distant voices shouted in alarm. "Someone call an ambulance." Is the child okay?" She pushed her out of the way. Maya tried to move but couldn't. Through blurry eyes, she saw expensive shoes approach. A man knelt beside her, his face etched with concern and guilt. "Don't move," he said, his voice deep and authoritative. "Help is coming." He took off his suit jacket and placed it gently under her head. Maya wanted to protest. His expensive clothes would be ruined, but she couldn't find her voice. The man pulled out his phone, barking orders at someone on the other end. "I need the best medical team ready at Presbyterian. Now." He looked down at Maya, his expression softening. "What's your name?" "Maya," she whispered through cracked lips. "I'm Raj," he replied. "I'm so sorry. I didn't see." The child appeared out of nowhere. "The girl?" Maya managed to ask. "She's fine, thanks to you." Raj glanced over to where the child was crying in her mother's arms, shaken but unharmed. "You saved her life." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The crowd around them had thickened, people filming with their phones. Maya felt embarrassment wash over her. Everyone would see her shabby clothes, her unwashed hair. They would know she had nowhere to go. The mother approached, tears streaming down her face as she clutched her daughter. "Thank you," she sobbed. "Thank you for saving my Lally." Maya tried to smile but winced instead as pain shot through her ribs. The ambulance arrived, and paramedics swarmed around her. As they lifted her onto a stretcher, Maya caught sight of her sketchbook lying forgotten on the ground. "My book," she whispered desperately. Raj followed her gaze and retrieved the sketchbook, his eyes widening slightly as he flipped through the pages of detailed architectural drawings and landscapes. "I'll keep it safe," he promised, stepping back as the paramedics loaded her into the ambulance. As the doors closed, Maya saw Raj talking intensely with one of the paramedics, pointing at her and then at himself. The last thing she heard before losing consciousness was his voice. "Send me all the bills. I'll take care of everything." Maya didn't know it yet, but this accident, this moment of selfless courage, was about to change the course of her life forever. Here's the expanded part 2 of your story in simple English, with approximately 700 words, maintaining an engaging and natural tone. Maya opened her eyes to bright lights and the steady beep of machines. Her body felt heavy, wrapped in bandages and pain. For a moment, she couldn't remember where she was or how she had gotten there. Then it all came rushing back: the little girl, the balloon, the car. The hospital room was nicer than any she'd seen before. A private room with a window overlooking the city. Fresh flowers sat on the bedside table, filling the air with a sweet scent that masked the typical hospital smell. This wasn't the kind of room they gave to homeless people. There must have been some mistake. A nurse noticed she was awake and hurried over. "Good morning. How are you feeling today?" "Like I got hit by a car," Maya replied, her voice raspy. The nurse smiled. "Well, that's understandable. You've got 2 broken ribs, a fractured wrist, and a mild concussion. But the doctor says you're recovering well." Before Maya could ask more questions, the door opened. A woman entered, holding the hand of a familiar little girl. It was the child from the park. When the girl saw Maya, she hid behind her mother's legs. "Hello," the woman said, her eyes red from crying. "I'm Chen. This is my daughter Lily. We wanted to thank you properly for what you did." Maya tried to smile. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Chen said firmly. "They wouldn't. People walked by. You ran forward." She placed a small gift basket on the table. "It's not enough, but it's something." The little girl peered out from behind her mother. "Thank you for saving me," she whispered, clearly rehearsed but still touching. Maya's eyes grew damp. "You're welcome, sweetheart." After they left, Maya tried to make sense of her situation. Someone had changed her into a hospital gown. Her old clothes were nowhere to be seen. She wondered what would happen when they discharged her. Where would she go? What would she wear? Later that afternoon, a knock came at the door. The man from the accident, Rad, stood there looking uncomfortable in an expensive suit that probably cost more than Maya had seen in years. "May I come in?" he asked. Maya nodded, suddenly conscious of how she must look. She tried to smooth her tangled hair. Raj approached the bed cautiously. "I wanted to see how you're doing." He gestured to the room. "I hope everything is satisfactory." "Are you paying for this?" Maya asked bluntly. He nodded. "It's the least I can do. My car, my responsibility." "I jumped in front of it," Maya pointed out. "To save a child." Raj sat in the chair beside her bed. "The doctor says you'll need physical therapy after you're released." Maya laughed bitterly. "Released to where?" "The park bench." Raj looked surprised. "You don't have anywhere to go." "Not everyone has a penthouse, mister." "Patel." Raj Patel. He studied her face. "You weren't always on the streets, were you?" The question stung. Maya turned away, looking out the window at a world that had forgotten her. "Does it matter?" "I found you a sketchbook," Raj said quietly, changing the subject. He placed it on the bed. "You're talented. Those building designs, they're remarkable." Maya's fingers traced the worn cover. "I was an architect. Before." "Before what?" Images flashed in Maya's mind. The recession, the layoffs, the eviction notice, the nights in her car until it was repossessed, the gradual slide into invisibility. Before life happened. Raj nodded, not pressing further. He seemed different from that first day, less rushed, more thoughtful. "The little girl's mother tells me you saved her only daughter," he said. "Lily is the CEO's niece at my company." Maya shrugged, then winced at the pain. "I didn't know who she was. She was just a child in danger." "That makes it even more extraordinary." Raj stood to leave. "Rest now. We can talk more tomorrow." After he left, a nurse brought dinner, real food, not hospital mush. Maya ate slowly, savoring each bite, wondering about Raj Patel. Why was he being so kind? What did he want from her? As night fell over the city, Maya gazed at the distant lights. For the first time in years, she slept in a real bed, clean and safe. But she couldn't shake the feeling that it was temporary, a brief reprieve before returning to the harsh reality of life on the streets. What she didn't know was that Raj Patel sat in his office across town, staring at copies he'd made of her architectural sketches, forming a plan that would change both their lives forever. Here's the expanded part 3 of your story in simple English, with approximately 700 words, maintaining an engaging and natural tone. The sunlight streaming through the window woke Maya on her 5th day in the hospital. Her body still ached, but she could sit up now without wincing. The doctors seemed pleased with her progress. They talked about discharge in a few days, and Maya's stomach knotted with anxiety. She had nowhere to go. The door opened, and Rage walked in carrying a paper bag that smelled of fresh pastries. He had visited every day, sometimes for just a few minutes, sometimes longer. Maya wasn't sure why. Rich people didn't usually bother with people like her. "Good morning," he said, placing the bag on her tray. "I brought breakfast. Real breakfast, not hospital food." Maya's mouth watered at the smell. "You don't have to keep doing this." "I want to." Raj pulled up a chair. "Besides, hospital food is terrible." As Maya ate a still warm croissant, Rage asked about her night. There was something different about him today, a nervous energy. He kept checking his watch. "Is something wrong?" Maya asked, wiping crumbs from her lips. Raj hesitated. "The doctor says you'll be discharged soon." "Yes." The word came out flat. "Do you have somewhere to go?" Maya looked away. They both knew the answer. "I was thinking," Raj continued, his voice careful, "about your sketches. Your architectural designs." Maya turned back to him, confused by the change of subject. "My company is developing a new housing project," he explained. "Affordable housing with community spaces. The current design is," he made a face, "uninspired." "And?" Maya prompted. "And I could use someone with fresh ideas. Someone who understands what makes a space feel like home." He took a deep breath. "I'd like to offer you a job." Maya stared at him. "A job? I haven't worked in 3 years. I don't have an address, professional clothes, a computer. Those are details. What matters is talent." Raj leaned forward. "Your designs show real vision. I've shown them to our team." "You what?" Maya felt a flare of anger. "Those were private." "I know. I'm sorry." Raj had the decency to look ashamed. But they were impressed. Very impressed. Maya looked down at her hands. The hospital had cleaned and bandaged them, but they were still rough from years on the streets. "This is charity." "No." Raj insisted. "This is business. I need someone with your perspective." "My perspective as a homeless person. As an architect who sees things differently." He pulled out his phone and showed her renderings of a building, all glass and sharp angles. "This is what we have now. It's cold. Impersonal." Maya studied the images. Despite herself, she could already see ways to improve it, to make it more welcoming, more humane. "The position comes with temporary housing," Raj added. "A studio apartment in the company building, just until you get on your feet." It was too much. Too convenient. Maya's eyes narrowed. "Why aren't you really doing this? Is it guilt? Or is the little girl's family pressuring you?" Raj looked surprised, then thoughtful. "Maybe it started as guilt. I'm not sure anymore." He gazed out the window. "My grandfather came to this country with nothing. Someone gave him a chance when no one else would. Maybe I'm trying to pay that forward." Maya wanted to believe him. After years of learning not to trust anyone, it was hard to accept kindness without suspicion. "What if I fail?" she asked quietly. "What if you don't?" Rage countered. The possibility hung in the air between them. A chance. A real chance to rebuild. "I'll need time to think about it," Maya said finally. Rage nodded. "Of course." He stood to leave. "For what it's worth, I think you'd be brilliant." After he left, Maya sat in silence. She thought about the years before homelessness, the pride she'd felt seeing her designs become real buildings. She thought about her time on the streets, the cold nights, the hunger, the invisibility. She pressed the call button. When the nurse arrived, Maya asked, "Can I make a phone call?" Minutes later, she was listening to the ring on the other end. "Raj Patel's office," a voice answered. Maya took a deep breath. "This is Maya. I'd like to accept his offer." Standing at the window, she watched the city spread out before her. For the first time in years, she let herself feel something dangerous. Hope. Here's the expanded part 4 of your story in simple English, with approximately 700 words, maintaining an engaging and natural tone. The first day at Patel Developments felt like stepping into another world. Maya stood in front of the glass building, clutching her small bag of belongings. The hospital had given her some donated clothes, plain but clean. Her hair was neatly combed, and she'd scrubbed her face until it shone. Still, she felt out of place. Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the revolving door. The security guard looked her up and down. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone making it clear he thought she was lost. I'm Maya Chen. I have an appointment with Raj Patel. The guard's eyebrows shot up. He checked his computer, then reluctantly handed her a visitor's badge. 15th floor. In the elevator, Maya caught her reflection in the mirrored walls. The woman staring back at her was thinner than she remembered from her working days, with new lines around her eyes. But she stood straighter now, despite her healing ribs. The elevator doors opened to reveal a busy office. People hurried by with coffee cups and folders, paying her no attention. A receptionist looked up from her desk. Mr. Patel is expecting you, she said with a professional smile. This way, please. Raj's office was spacious, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He greeted Maya warmly, introducing her to a woman already seated in the office. This is Lynn, our head of human resources, Raj explained. She'll help get you settled. The next hour passed in a blur of paperwork and explanations. Maya would be a design consultant for 3 months, with the possibility of extending if things went well. Her salary was modest but fair. The company would provide temporary housing in their staff apartment block 2 streets away. Any questions? Lynn asked, closing her folder. Maya had dozens, but one was most pressing. When do I start? Raj smiled. How about a tour first? He showed her around the office, the design department where she would work, the cafeteria, the meeting rooms. People glanced at them curiously. Maya overheard whispers. Is that her? The homeless woman? I heard she jumped in front of his car. Wonder how long she'll last. Raj either didn't hear or pretended not to. And this is your desk, he said, stopping at a workstation with a new computer and drawing tablet. Maya ran her fingers over the smooth surface. Thank you. The team will bring you up to speed on the Riverview project tomorrow, Raj continued. For now, let me show you your apartment. They walked the short distance to a modern building. The apartment was on the 3rd floor, a studio with simple furniture, a small kitchen, and a bathroom with a real shower. Maya stood in the center, overwhelmed. It's not much, Raj said, misreading her silence. It's everything, Maya whispered. 4 walls. A roof. Safety. After Raj left, Maya explored her new home. She opened and closed drawers, turned the shower on and off, lay on the bed feeling its softness. The refrigerator was stocked with basics: milk, eggs, bread. On the counter was a new phone with a note, for work calls, number programmed in contacts. She showered for a long time, letting the hot water wash away years of grime that hospital sponge baths couldn't reach. Clean clothes waited on the bed, simple work outfits in her size. That evening, Maya sat by the window with her sketchbook, watching the sunset turn the city golden. Tomorrow would bring challenges. The other employees would judge her. The work might be beyond her rusty skills. The whole arrangement might be a rich man's temporary guilt project. But tonight she was warm. She was safe. She had a chance. Her phone buzzed with a message from Raj. Ready for tomorrow. Maya looked around at her small, perfect space. She thought about the design team waiting to meet her. She thought about the Riverview project and how she might make it better. Ready, she typed back. Outside, the city lights blinked on one by one. Maya opened to a fresh page in her sketchbook and began to draw. Not buildings this time, but a bridge, spanning from her past to whatever future might be waiting on the other side. Here's the expanded part 5 of your story in simple English, with approximately 700 words, maintaining an engaging and natural tone. 2 weeks into her new job, Maya settled into a routine. Each morning, she woke early in her studio apartment, still amazed to have a real bed and a warm shower. She ate breakfast at the small table by the window, watching the city come alive below. By 8, she was at her desk in the design department, working on the Riverview project. The other designers had been called at first. They watched her from the corners of their eyes, whispering when they thought she couldn't hear. Maya understood their suspicion. She was an outsider, someone who had been brought in by the boss himself, bypassing the normal hiring process. Today, Maya arrived to find a group gathered around Dev, the lead architect. The client hated it, Dev was saying, his face tight with frustration, said it looks like every other apartment building in the city. We've got 2 weeks to come up with something better. Maya hung back, listening. The Riverview project was meant to be different, affordable housing that didn't look cheap. But the designs she'd seen were standard boxes with tiny windows and thin walls. Any ideas? Dev asked, looking around the group. His eyes landed on Maya, standing at the edge. Something in his expression hardened. What about our special consultant? Any brilliant insights from the streets? The room fell silent. Maya felt her cheeks burn, but she lifted her chin. Actually, yes. She pulled out her sketchbook and opened it to her latest drawings. The problem isn't the outside, it's what happens inside. Her voice grew stronger as she spoke. People don't just need a roof, they need community. Connection. Maya flipped through pages of sketches showing shed gardens on the roof, a playground visible from kitchen windows so parents could watch their children, wider hallways with seating areas where neighbors could talk. Housing isn't just about shelter, she explained. It's about belonging. Dev studied her drawings, his expression unreadable. These would add to the cost. Not if we simplify other areas, Maya countered. No one needs marble countertops, but everyone needs human contact. The room was quiet again, but different this time. People leaned forward, looking at her sketches with new interest. After the meeting, Maya returned to her desk to find Raj waiting. "How's it going?" he asked, settling into the chair beside her. Maya hesitated. "People are starting to talk to me now. That's progress." Raj smiled. "I heard about your ideas in the meeting." Dev looked impressed, which isn't easy. "He called me our special consultant with air quotes," Maya said dryly. "Give them time," Raj advised. "Results speak louder than words." Later that afternoon, Dev appeared at Maya's desk. He placed a folder in front of her. "The original plans for the site from 5 years ago," he said, "before budget cuts. Your ideas reminded me of what we first wanted to build." Maya opened the folder to find designs not unlike her own sketches. What happened? "Money," Dev shrugged. "Investors want profit. It's always a battle between what people need and what makes financial sense." "But if people love where they live, they stay longer," Maya argued. "Less turnover, fewer vacancies. That makes financial sense too." Dev studied her thoughtfully. "Present that at the client meeting next week, with numbers to back it up." After he left, Maya stared at the folder. A chance to present directly to clients. It was a test, one she couldn't fail. That night, Maya worked late in her apartment, researching studies on community-centered housing. She found compelling data showing better health outcomes, lower crime rates, and yes, higher occupancy rates in buildings designed with community in mind. As midnight approached, she received a text from Raj. "Lynn tells me you've been accessing the research database. Everything okay?" Maya hesitated before replying. "Dev asked me to present at the client meeting. Need to be prepared." His response came quickly. "That's great news. Need help?" Maya looked around her small apartment, at the food in her refrigerator, the clean clothes in her closet, the roof over her head. All because this man had stopped to really see her. "No," she texted back. "But thank you. For everything." She turned back to her work with renewed determination. This wasn't just about keeping her job anymore. It was about creating spaces where people like her former self could not just survive, but thrive. Here's the expanded part 6 of your story in simple English, with approximately 750 words, maintaining an engaging and natural tone. The client meeting arrived faster than Maya expected. For days, she had prepared her presentation, working late into the night, perfecting every slide. Today, she stood in the conference room, watching people file in, men and women in expensive suits, carrying leather folders and sleek tablets. Maya wore her best outfit, a simple blue dress borrowed from Lynn in Human Resources. She had pulled her hair back neatly and applied a touch of makeup. Still, she felt out of place among these business professionals who had never known what it meant to sleep on a park bench. Raj entered last, nodding encouragingly at Maya as he took his seat. Dev began the meeting, explaining the challenge with the current Riverview designs and introducing Maya as a design consultant with unique insights. When her turn came, Maya took a deep breath and stepped forward. The room fell silent, all eyes on her. "The problem with most affordable housing," she began, her voice steadier than she felt, "is that it focuses only on providing shelter. 4 walls and a roof, but people need more than that to build a life." She clicked to her first slide, a comparison between traditional housing blocks and her community-centered design. Look at these differences, she continued. Shed gardens where families can grow food together, common areas where children can play safely, wider hallways that encourage neighbors to stop and talk instead of hurrying past each other. The clients exchanged glances. One man raised his hand. These features will increase costs. How do you justify that? This was the question Maya had prepared for. She clicked to her research slides, graphs showing higher retention rates, fewer vacancies, and lower maintenance costs in community-centered buildings. When people feel connected to where they live, they stay longer. They take better care of common spaces. They look out for each other's children. All of this saves money in the long run. Maya spoke for 20 minutes, showing examples, citing studies, explaining how her own experience informed her understanding of what makes a place feel like home. As she finished, the room remained quiet. Had she failed? Had they seen through her, recognized the homeless woman playing at being a professional? Then the man who had questioned her stood up. "I've been developing properties for 30 years, he said. Maya's heart sank. "And I've never had an approach like this." He turned to Raj. "I like it. It's fresh. It's human. Let's move forward with these designs." The room erupted in approving murmurs. Dev clapped Maya on the shoulder as he passed. "Good work," he said, the first genuine compliment he'd given her. As people filed out, Raj approached with the client. "This is Patel Development's newest star," he said proudly. The client shook Maya's hand. "Where did you work before this?" Maya froze. Raj jumped in smoothly. Maya took some time away from the industry to explore different perspectives. "Well, that perspective paid off," the client replied. "Looking forward to seeing more of your work." After everyone left, Maya collapsed into a chair, emotionally drained. "You were brilliant," Raj said, sitting beside her. "I was terrified," Maya admitted. "I kept thinking they would see through me, see the woman who used to beg for change." "They saw exactly what I saw that first day," Raj replied. "Someone with extraordinary talent and a unique view of the world." As they walked back to the office, Maya felt lighter than she had in years. Colleagues stopped to congratulate her. Dev asked her to join a meeting about another project. She belonged here. She was making a difference. That evening, Maya returned to her apartment to find an envelope slipped under her door. Inside was a letter offering her a permanent position with the company, along with a substantial raise. Her 3-month trial period was being cut short. They wanted her now. Maya sank onto her bed, the letter clutched in her hands. 6 weeks ago, she had been invisible, sleeping on park benches, scrounging for food. Now she had a future again. She was about to call Raj to thank him when her phone buzzed with a news alert. She opened it, and her blood ran cold. There on the screen was a headline, "From Homeless to Hero," the woman behind Patel's new design direction. Below it was a photo of her, clearly taken at today's meeting without her knowledge. The article detailed her heartwarming journey from the streets to the boardroom and included quotes from someone who claimed to be a former colleague. Maya's hands trembled as she read. Her past, laid bare for everyone to see. The privacy she had guarded so carefully, now shattered across the internet. The shame she had tried to leave behind, now the headline of her new life. Her phone rang. Raj's name flashed on the screen. Maya stared at it, unable to answer. Everything was unraveling, just when it had started to come together. Here's the expanded part 7 of your story in simple English, with approximately 750 words, maintaining an engaging and natural tone. Maya didn't answer Raj's calls that night, or the next morning. She packed her few belongings into a bag and left the apartment before dawn. The thought of facing her colleagues now that they knew her past was too much to bear. She wandered the city streets aimlessly, retracing paths she'd walked during her homeless days. Part of her wanted to disappear back into that invisible life. At least then, no one stared. No one whispered. No one knew her shame. By evening, hunger drove her to a small cafe. While waiting for her food, she overheard 2 women at the next table. "Did you see that article about the homeless architect?" one asked. "Yes, so inspiring," the other replied. "Imagine going through all that and still creating beautiful things." Maya froze. Inspiring, not shameful. Her phone, which she'd silenced, showed 27 missed calls from Raj and countless messages from colleagues. She couldn't bring herself to read them. As night fell, Maya found herself at the river, staring at the empty lot where her housing project would someday stand. In the darkness, she could almost see it: families talking on balconies, children playing in shared courtyards, elderly neighbors tending rooftop gardens. "I thought I might find you here." The voice startled her. Raj stood a few feet away, his usual polished appearance rumpled as if he hadn't slept. "How did you know?" Maya asked. "You mentioned once that you used to sleep near the river, that you liked the sound of the water." He stepped closer, cautious, like approaching a wild animal. "Everyone's worried about you." "Everyone's talking about me," Maya corrected. "Poor homeless Maya." "The charity case." "Is that what you think?" Raj looked genuinely surprised. "Maya, the office has been flooded with calls since that article. Not with gossip, but with opportunities. 3 other development companies want to interview you. The city's housing department called about consulting on their public housing renovations." Maya stared at him, disbelieving. "Because I was homeless." "Because you created something beautiful from your pain," Raj said gently. "Because you saw what others missed." He held out his phone, showing her messages from colleagues, not pity, but admiration. Dev writing that her designs had made him rethink his approach. Lynn saying she was proud to work with Maya. "And this came for you," Raj added, pulling an envelope from his pocket. Maya opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a child's drawing, a stick figure pushing another away from a car. At the bottom, in wobbly letters, "Thank you for saving me. Love, Lely." Something broke open inside Maya. The shame she'd carried for so long began to dissolve, replaced by something unfamiliar: pride. "I'm sorry about the article," Raj said. "I've had our legal team contact the publication. They had no right to share your story without permission." "Maybe it's okay that they did," Maya said slowly. "Maybe my story could help someone else who thinks their life is over." 1 year later, Maya stood on the rooftop garden of the completed Riverview housing complex. Below her, families were moving in: former homeless individuals, low-income workers, seniors on fixed incomes. Each apartment was designed with dignity and community in mind. "What do you think?" Raj asked, joining her at the railing. "It's better than I imagined," Maya replied. Their relationship had evolved over the past year. From employer and employee to partners in what they now called Second Chance Designs, a division focused exclusively on housing for vulnerable populations. The rooftop door opened and Lily ran out, followed by her mother. Now 6 years old, the little girl hugged Maya tightly. "We brought something for the opening ceremony," her mother said, handing Maya a small plaque. It read, "Where one act of courage created 1,000 homes." As they prepared to cut the ribbon downstairs, Maya looked out at the crowd gathered for the building's official opening. Reporters, city officials, and most importantly, the new residents. People who, like her, would have a chance to rebuild their lives. Raj squeezed her hand as they walked toward the podium together. "Ready for the next project," he whispered. Maya smiled. "More than ready." She stepped forward to address the crowd, no longer afraid to be seen. No longer defined by her past struggles, but by what she had created from them. One person with the courage to jump in front of a car had set in motion a series of events that would provide homes for thousands. Sometimes, Maya thought, the worst thing that happens to you can lead to the best thing you'll ever do.